It's up to you, New York, New York.
Good morning, good morning. Happy Saturday morning. It's the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast here on Facebook and YouTube. I am Richie here with my co-host, Mr. Idris Salam, aka Bosco from the Bronx.
Start spreading the news. Good job, Knicks.
Yes, sir. Today's title, Knicks put boots to ass in Rocky Mountains.
Good.
A competitive first quarter, and it's always a beautiful situation when your bench essentially could carry you to a blowout where your starters don't have to overexert themselves. And yes, Denver is a quality team, but I think yesterday, not that we didn't know this already as NBA fans, Denver definitely has some holes in transition defense. They definitely have some holes in not getting back on D when they're chucking some threes. But the New York Knicks played a full 4 quarters yesterday after a disappointing, heartbreaking loss to a potential finals opponent, the Oklahoma City Thunder. And, I don't like to make a lot out of a little, but maybe, just maybe, feeling good, holding OKC down to one of their worst shooting performances of the season. And yes, OKC helped them with that. Maybe the Knicks got a little much needed confidence after losing OKC at the Mecca, go on the road and punch Denver right in the face. That was a quality win yesterday, as even Nikola Jokic, who I thought, as pretty much any night that he's on a basketball court, is the best player on the court. But, you could see that he was getting frustrated with what was going on around him as well.
Man, the bench, that fourth quarter, dude, that bench came to play. That bench came off and just kept it. Because, a lot of times you start to sit in the start and you say, okay, the team you're playing against tend to make a little run. They may not come back, but they make a run. But our bench made it clear there will be no run. I mean, Brunson, 34. Cat, 31. These are the minutes. But points-wise, these guys put up, everyone had double figures. 26,
Just
19,
about.
16, 15, 12, 11, 10. You're talking, God, even Jordan Clarkson got his 8.7. God, 18 minutes. That victory last night was huge. Coming off the loss to OKC. God, I mean, that was New York. To go there to the Mile High City and beat them like that, 39 points, dude. We got to prove our road record with 17 and 14 on the road. We got to do better on that. But damn, dude,
And that is a season sweep against one of the Western Conference's contenders. Do I think Denver's the best team in the West, or that they're going to win the conference? No, they got their eyes set on making sure that they don't end up in a play-in. But I have such a high opinion of Nikola Jokic and what he does for that team, and with his number 2 Jamal Murray on any given night being able to support that, they are not an ideal matchup for anyone in the West. So, make no mistake about it. Knicks played, a lot of people's favorite to win last year's champs, the Thunder. Thunder, like I said, did them some favors because they were not shooting the ball well. They had a lot of good looks they were missing, but definitely a good carryover. You know, we all know that the biggest Waterloo for the Knicks, if it doesn't happen this year, is matching up with Detroit, potentially having a matchup with Philly as well early on. Cleveland, definitely after last year's disappointment being the 1 seed, they're going to be in the way too. But I'm not saying this because I'm a Knicks fan. I'm saying this because I look at rosters. I look at the potential of what a team could be because make no mistake, they are still learning together under Mike Brown. I think the Knicks are the most talented team in the East. Will that translate to a conference banner and then hopefully an NBA banner? Time will tell. But yesterday, what I saw, even the tenacity at the Garden, albeit in a losing effort, this is what I want to see. This is what I expect to see. This is what we're supposed to see.
We played both sides of the court last night. We played offense, we played defense. Defense played 100 points, 3 points, you know, and a lot of that stuff is garbage time. I mean, if we kept the starters out there, we probably shut them. It probably wouldn't have got 90 points.
No doubt.
Yeah. I mean,
it was just it was a good thing to keep an eye on. Like you know, I was busy yesterday. Definitely an off week with a lot of the unfortunate stuff that happened with my lady this week with the health stuff. So, you know, I've been kind of like not within a routine. So today I'll be going to my less fun job, but I wanted to make sure that, you know, I got right. And part of getting right is doing this show before I get into everything out in the world. So, you know, what better time than on a night that the Knicks put a nice beat down on, you know, a perennial MVP candidate and his squad. And, you know, yesterday was a decent sports day. I was telling you, Idris, last show or a couple of shows ago, this is usually like a dry period post Super Bowl. But when you got the World Baseball Classic, you got March Madness coming up, not to mention that hip hop keeps providing us with enough stories.
Baseball.
Yeah, baseball, of course, because the World Baseball Classic is kind of like the appetizer for the season. And, you know, you get like a lot of throwback videos. Like, for instance, when Derek Jeter played the New York Yankees the one and only time as a member of Team USA, multiple times going into the wrong dugout out of pure confusion.
He might have been doing that by design, too.
You know, Jeter was a low-key troll in his own way because he was a funny guy and definitely a prankster. But speaking of Team USA, man, Aaron Judge, my goodness. Early in the game, just hitters count 3-0. And he has the green light pretty much any time that he needs the green light to do what he needs to do. And, you know, I'm going to give Brazil a little credit. You know, this is a soccer country. Make no mistake about it. They got some of the best soccer athletes in the world over. But admirable effort on the part of Brazil. But, you know, I've been watching this World Baseball Classic for multiple years. And I must admit, it was very convincing that the Americans in this particular tournament may very well have the most balance 1 through 9 out of any and all teams in this tournament. You know, your first 4 are a pure nightmare. You know, you got Cal Raleigh, a guy who banged 60 home runs last year, hitting 6th.
That's crazy. That's crazy. It's like Murderer's Row, dude.
It really is. And, you know, we've seen different versions of the Americans putting out teams, and sometimes it was a little lackluster because you didn't always get the quote-unquote star power. But when Aaron Judge is the first guy to essentially sign up to represent his country in this kind of Olympic-style tournament.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it.
Yeah, and instantly, you know, he becomes the captain. And it's a lot of excitement. You know, Bryce Harper hitting in the 2-hole actually struck out. You know, Kyle Schwarber, another guy who's a real masher, you know, was doing it the contact route, couple of base hits.
Yeah.
This team is loaded. I thought San Francisco Giants ace Logan Webb recovered after he gave up a home run on the first at bat for Brazil. Brazil was the home team in this affair, although the American crowd was all over the place. This game was played in Houston. And when you see Judge banged the home run at the velocity that he did, and we know where they're playing in Houston. It
Yeah.
just gets your appetite wet and it gets you excited for baseball because unless you live under a rock, everybody knows that the Houston Astros and the New York Yankees absolutely hate each other. And
Right. Always will.
Alex Bregman, recently well traveled,
Hmm.
but he put a lot of time in with the Houston Astros.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool to see the fans give him an ovation, even though I hate the Astros. I love baseball. Roman Anthony,
Hmm.
21 years old, bro. Potential future superstar for our rival Boston Red Sox. I think it's really good to see a guy that young on the team. This is like on many metrics, a dream team of sorts. Of course, in the baseball realm, because we all know what the best version of Team USA looked like in basketball. We talk about them frequently on the show.
We have a contrast of players. We have young, like you said, we got very young players, and we got the OGs. I mean, because you put Aaron Judge as an OG now. He's OG. Let's say it. He's OG. You know, and I like this mix we have. We just don't have OG veterans. We got some young guns who will really go out there, ball out, because that's their future's coming up now. They're young.
Absolutely.
They build their bones to where guys like Judge and everybody else. They've proven what they can do. So, and I like the way we got the lineup set up. We got so much power, dude. We got wood everywhere.
Yeah,
It's
they,
no
they've
homo,
got
y'all.
they've
No
got
homo. No
guys
homo.
that can situationally. I mean, when you got Bobby Witt setting the table, like
Yeah,
first at
right,
bat of the game, a little chopper that barely made it over the pitcher's glove. But once
right.
Witt's on base, you got
That's
to
it.
account for him, and that's not the way that any team wants to start against Team USA.
No, of course
You
not.
know,
You don't.
Bryce Harper, the elder statesman, he's not the star that he once was,
Right.
as he's starting to wind down a little bit, but still, a problem from the left
He's
side of
still
the
a bat.
plate. And, he's
Still a
going to
bat.
get a lot of good pitches where Harper could be a huge part of this team because hitting in front of Judge is going to be beneficial for Harper.
Right. That's what I say. He's still a bat. And just like in boxing, the power is the last thing you lose. So he may not be able to run bases. He may, but he can still hit the ball.
Yeah, he already made a couple of years ago made the transition, as a lot of power guys do, to first base, kind of
Right.
try to preserve them a little. Aaron
Oh.
Judge down the road, you never know. He might one day find himself at first base, but
You know what?
it's
Imagine,
encouraging.
but imagine him at first base with that height. Golly, dude.
Mythic Plague, thank you for that. Appreciate the kind sentiments.
What's up,
Yeah,
Plague?
it's just been like a very how would you say, just a trying week, between one day I sleep a bunch, and the other day it's like I'm chasing my tail. I've
Yeah.
done a couple of things this week that are like very uncharacteristic. Like for instance, completely forgetting that I had to be at work one day at a certain time. I
Right.
had to I was like in utter shock. It's just been that kind of a bit of a messy week. Yesterday I decided to take my little man to Ripley's Believe It or Not, just to have a little bit of goofy fun
Yeah,
and
you
just to
did.
kind of take the seriousness out of the week. I was exhausted. Yesterday Noah was watching a movie in my room,
Mhm.
and I was like, man, that kid's about to fall out. His room was so damn clean. I said, you know what, man, I'm gonna pack it in and I'm going to Noah's room tonight.
Hey, you're
But it's
not a
been
young
that
guy.
kind of week where we're all kind of like just, out of
You're
place,
not,
so to speak.
you're not a young guy anymore, man. It's coming to you slowly but surely. You're creeping up on my age, man. So, you know, it ain't that easy anymore, man.
All right.
But so,
Idris doing his due diligence to depress me before I get into my 9-hour shift.
yes,
Um,
sir. Yes, sir.
in the words of in the words of Silvio from The Sopranos, this guy's a fucking Grim Reaper over here. All
Yeah,
right,
I was just watching the Sopranos for sure.
Mythic Plague. At least he does not cheat with PPEs like Barry, Jose, Maguire, Sosa, among others, 90s and 2000s players. Yes, I will say this. In the event that ever got linked to him, it would just be the most shocking thing because one thing
Yeah.
about Aaron Judge that I admire, not just that he happens to be the captain for my favorite baseball team, is that he
Mhm.
does everything with such an amount of grace. And, even during the regular season or in the playoffs, like, okay, let's just put it like this. Yankees get a big dub,
Yeah.
more times than not, he's part of the storyline. And he is so good at spreading credit around to other players on his team He is a
Yeah.
bona fide superstar, make no mistake about it. And to his defense recently, some
Mhm.
controversial opinions coming from the captain in reference to the kind of offseason the Yankees had. And I want to
Mhm.
remind people of this. There's two athletes in New York that I feel have the right to be the most critical of the powers that be for their organizations. That would be point guard of the New York Knicks, Jalen Brunson, who
Right
took
on.
a ridiculous discount.
Right.
And it means something for him to be a Knick. Of course, his father was a Knick. He grew up around the Knicks culture as a young child. Now, Aaron Judge, this is a kid who grew up in the Bay Area, loved the San Francisco Giants growing up. He is an adopted child because when you saw his mother,
Right.
you're like, man, where do you get this height from? Where do you get this gargantuan status from? That was a
Right.
feel good moment
Yeah.
back when he broke the record.
Mhm.
Seeing the Maris boys hugging it up with Aaron Judge's mother
Mhm.
just shows the human side of the sport. And believe me, the Maris boys didn't have it none easy
No.
because their father was disrespected
Yeah.
during his life, after his life, a lot of fails on Major League Baseball's part. Then McGuire wants to hold his bat. McGuire has a needle in his ass, just
Yeah.
to bring in shame to something that Maris had to go hell and back to break a record. And the
Right.
fact that it was broken by another Yankee
Mhm.
61 years after the 61 season,
Right.
hitting 61 bombs, there's
Right.
something to numbers. And it was really beautiful.
Yeah.
Mike Zappi was in the house
Yeah.
during that home run chase. He missed it by a few days, but when Judge smashed that one into the Texas sky, they actually made that seat a historical piece where it actually says where Aaron Judge hit the home run. And shouts out to the Texas Rangers
Yeah.
for taking baseball history serious, despite the fact that it was at the expense of their team. So big ups to the Texas Rangers for that.
That was great, man. That was real great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
classy
Mark
move on
McGuire.
their organization's part. Classy
Yeah,
move.
Mark McGuire. Him and Sammy Sosa, two knuckleheads. And I'm glad. I'm glad Judge, not just a Yankee fan, but I'm glad Judge did what he did because those two guys. Now we know Bonds. We know a lot of people did PEDs, but those two guys. And I'm going to take Barry Bonds. 'Cause Barry Bonds, his personality is like leave me alone. I have the same personality he has. He likes to be private, da da da. But he can be a dick, okay. But I give Bonds credit in terms of the game, to where Sosa and Maguire, they made a mockery of shit.
Absolutely.
They
And,
made a mockery.
I feel bad for people who believed in them. I mean, I'll keep it a buck. I feel bad for a kid like McGuire's kid who's seeing his dad do something real special and then it gets tainted out.
Hmm.
Um, and like I said, my biggest beef with this for so many years is that Major League Baseball didn't care until Congress did. And, we
Right.
talk about the
That's the
moral
empowerment.
police and the convenience of being the moral police. It's okay to lock out the Negro League players who weren't included in Major League Baseball because they never had a choice. It's
Right.
okay to exclude people like Thurman Munson, where death should never cheat you out
Hmm.
of being a Hall of Famer, especially when his trajectory was already there in his career. Two-time World
He was,
Series champion, the
he was
absolute
on
best of the
Josh.
best at the
He was,
catching position. The only one that was even in his breath during that era, Johnny Bench, and of course Carlton Fisk, who Munson and Fisk, let's be real, they hated each other. Shouts
I
out
was
Carlton Fisk, another warrior of the diamond. Carlton Fisk was a great player. I'm thankful to say that when he was in that tail end of his career as a Chicago White Sox,
yeah.
I was actually able to see him play as my father
Oh,
had me play hooky on a Yankee opening day. It was dreary, bro, like cold as shit. It felt like a football game.
yeah.
First time I saw
Oh,
the Yankees lose a baseball game, I started my fan career as 3-0. Opening day,
mhm.
Christ, I don't know what year it was. I'd have to look, but Chicago beat us that day.
It's ironic you said it because my first football game was the Giants getting beat badly in that. Well, I think we were 2-12 that year. But yeah, Munson. I was about to say, had Munson not tragically died in the plane crash, he'd have been up there. I mean, my opinion, just for the fact of what he did in his short career, you got to put him up there among the greatest catchers. But had he not passed away so young, so soon, he would have been up there with Johnny Bench and Carlton Fisk and all of those.
And I
But
know I
still,
touched on this. I know I
Mhm,
touched on this recently about
mhm.
some fans of the Yankees talking about how retiring these numbers is losing their allure. Phil Munchak, I think it was the New York Post. I think that's the paper he works for.
Yeah,
Um,
both.
yeah, really just negative shit about CC Sabathia being retired. This is a guy that has more strikeouts in a Yankee uniform than any other team he played for. He was an 11-year Yankee. I think he was with Cleveland for 9, and he was with Milwaukee for like 4 months.
Yeah.
Um, he has, this is crazy to me. He has top 10 in wins, top 5 in Ks for the Yankees,
Mhm.
and we are questioning if 52 belongs on the wall? Like, what in the name of Christ are we talking about here? And what gets me mad about this shit
Mhm.
is that I said it on a recent show.
Mhm.
Not every Yankee player is going to have the pop culture impact of like a Babe Ruth or a Mickey Mantle or a Joe D. Those
Right.
guys were a different breed of character. Lou Gehrig, of course. I mean, for Christ's sakes, there's a disease named after Lou Gehrig, the
And they
Iron
play more games
Horse.
too. Those guys play like 9 innings straight up. Pitches
Oh,
and stuff. And
absolutely. It was a different era in baseball
yeah,
through and through. But the point I'm making is even a guy like Yogi Berra, he's like the Bill Russell of baseball, has the most rings.
right.
And of course, DJ, which is hard to believe, the only Yankee in a Yankee uniform that hit over 3K. We've
Right.
had other 3K guys join the team, like a Ichiro Suzuki at the tail end, but in a Yankee uniform, only Derek Jeter did 3K.
Right.
Um, you know, another guy, I always go to bat for him, Don Mattingly, best player in
Right.
Major League Baseball for at minimum 5 years of the 80s.
At
I
least.
saw a recent documentary on Mattingly, and
Mhm.
the part that I even myself overlooked is that if Mattingly hung just for a little longer, um,
Yeah.
he would have been the captain of arguably a top 2, 3 dynasty
Yeah.
of that time because
Yeah.
nobody's seeing the 50s Yankees, in my opinion, if we're talking a dynasty.
Oh
But
no. No, no,
but the
no,
point I'm
no.
making is when you consider that 98, 99, 96, and yes, they three-peated in 2000, but the majority was at the tail end of the 90s,
Yeah.
they can be in that all-century debate about the greatest baseball franchises to hit the dynasty mode.
You know something, Richie?
Mattingly would have seen some of that. And then it makes you wonder how long Jeter waits to be a captain, or if it still just naturally happens the way it did.
You know something, Richie? You take away the New York Giants and the Brooklyn Dodgers, the Yankees easily have 40 World Series.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, easily. Because the Dodgers, the Brooklyn Dodgers and the freaking New York Giants, people don't know there was a New York Giants baseball team.
Yes,
Um,
indeed.
you know, just
And,
imagine,
and
dude.
and that New York Giants baseball team during the transitional period when they went to the West Coast,
Mhm.
my grandfather was in their minor league organization. It's
Hey,
interesting, right? So like
hey.
Jennifer,
Uh,
Jen's late grandmother
mhm.
did a lot of business with the San Francisco Giants during
Wow.
her life, like rent a car business, things of that nature, as well as
Yeah,
some other West Coast teams.
yeah.
When she was unfortunately losing her battle with cancer, which she beat many, many times prior to finally, succumbing to the disease,
Mhm.
Giants did a real classy thing. And I will always respect the Giants for this, even though I never had the pleasure of meeting her.
Mhm.
She threw out the first pitch for them. They made her a
Whoa.
custom, they made her a custom jersey, and it's actually in my closet. One of
Yeah.
Jen's most dear possessions. So I always will have
Mhm.
I don't know if I'll call it love, but definitely a respect for the Giants because, my
Yeah.
grandfather, that was one of his favorite stories to tell when I was a kid, that he's a young kid, wet behind the ears, you know, not sure if he's gonna do service time, not sure how that's all gonna look. And a
Mhm.
guy like Willie Mays comes up to him in spring training, pats him on the knee when he didn't have his finest hour, and
Yeah.
says, "Hey kid, keep doing what you're doing. You're going to be a hell of a ball player. I see. I see where you're growing." That's the greatest player, arguably, that ever lived, giving my
Yeah.
grandfather some encouragement.
You know, and that's how I feel when it comes to the Dodgers and the Giants. Everyone knows, they both came from New York, and that's why the Mets have those colors of the Dodgers and Giants. I've
Yes,
never
indeed.
had any issue with the Giants. A lot of great stuff came out of that organization.
They got a beautiful stadium. I love that McCovey Cove.
Man, I love
And
it,
it's
man.
and on the comedic side, John Heyman, who is a fellow graduate of Lawrence High School in Long Island, as am I.
Okay, there
Shouts
you
out to
go.
some of our famous athletic graduates, the late Lyle Alzado, the late Shane Olivier.
Uh,
Lyle, the Super Bowl champion, Shane, a national champion in college, OSU, Raiders for Lyle.
mhm.
So John Heyman, anyway, with the arson judge thing, that will always be forever one of the funniest moments on Twitter, now X,
Mhm.
when he was so in on the scoop that
Yeah,
a lot of people thought that Judge signed the Giants deal because it was his childhood team. They were giving him a ton of money.
yeah.
And when Heyman puts arson judge to San
Mhm.
Francisco, whatever the years, da da da. So I got about
Yeah.
like a solid 10 minutes where I'm like gonna go scorched earth. I'm just pissed
Oh,
off.
hey, let's go. Let's go.
And then
Let's
about
go.
10, 12 minutes later, Heyman comes back, hold off, not official, judge is flying back to New York.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, thank God! I think we'll mend it. We'll figure it out." And then, 48 hours later, Judge signs the deal with the Yanks, a discounted deal at that.
I was
So
worried, dude.
I was real worried. Opening day that year, we play the Giants at home. So
Mhm.
the San Francisco Giants travel well, even if it's on the East
They
Coast.
do. Former New York, hey, those are New Yorkers. It's still just, grandfathered into the organization. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So you got a San Francisco Giant fan rolling up.
Mhm.
This had to be the funniest jersey I have ever seen in my life. Back of it says 99 Arson Judge, the whole name, Arson Judge, and he has like fire flames coming out from each side of the shoulder. Doug,
Ah,
that had to be the most ridiculous, funny jersey I've ever seen. We've seen some dumb shit, like with the Met fans that had Soto
oh,
jerseys before he even signed. And granted, he did sign there.
either side.
But nah, bro, I'll never forget that opening day. I think that was the 23 season. Damn, that shit was funny.
You know, as much as I trash the Mets, you know why I like their fans? Their fans are so goofy to they're funny. And Met fans, I'm not trashing you guys. I like you guys because you guys are funny. And I'm not saying funny as in
One of the
saying cheap.
funniest ones is my longest standing friend on planet Earth. When Dorney and I attended that 9/11 game, the
Yeah,
20th anniversary back in 21, they had a
yeah.
couple of drunkies that ended up on the field.
Hmm.
So on a future show, I'm gonna save these videos and share them here on the show. But bro, you got Dorney in the background. You got this little Asian man that's like trying to cut up security for a little
Yeah,
while. I thought he's gonna get away or at least make it back into the crowd.
yeah.
Then all of a sudden, now mind you, this is on the eve of the Giant opener. This big
Right.
black man for security just laid his ass out.
What?
First thing Dorney says, get that guy a uniform. The Giants got a game tomorrow. Second
I
thing
love
he says, beat his ass. I think he's a Yankee fan.
Oh, see, Donnie. That's what I mean, Richie. I love Mets fans because they are so funny. Even they've had a rough while since 1986. Well, I'm not gonna know. They did get we did beat them in the World Series. You're back in two
They've
grand.
gotten close. They've had some good teams, but they
Yeah,
haven't got
yeah,
over the hump since 86. And
right.
86, they were good enough to be a dynasty.
Yeah, they just dismantled that team
If we're talking about just singular teams, the 86 Mets could match up with most teams. That's how special that one particular team was.
because of that pitching
Oh,
staff they
that
had.
pitching was insane. You had the great Gary Carter as the battery.
Mhm.
You had Keith Hernandez, one of the
Right.
greatest gloves to ever play first. Mookie Wilson, Kevin Elster, Lenny Dykstra, Darryl
Ah,
Strawberry, Doc Gooden.
not good. Dude, that team was loaded. That team was loaded.
Jesse
Mookie,
Jesse Orosco,
Roscoe.
Tim Tuffle, if I didn't already mention, that team was loaded, bro.
That team
But
was
yeah, and if you love baseball, even if you don't like the Mets, check out Once Upon a Time in Queens. Definitely a
Mhm.
good watch if you love baseball. We're gonna move it along to the Beltway. Beltway
Let me say one.
Max.
Let me say one more
Go
thing. One
ahead.
more thing. The two, the thing about the Mets, their two World Series are probably two of the greatest World Series. Because you had the amazing Mets in '69 when they went from last to first, and then this '86 team.
And a lot of people
I get
forget
it right.
Nolan Ryan was a small part of that team that year.
Right? Exactly.
He was in the pen. Tom Seaver, of course.
Yep.
And I'm okay with saying this because it's the truth.
Hmm.
Yankees have had more great pitchers.
Yeah.
However, the greatest pitcher to ever play in New York City is Tom Seaver. Rest in peace.
Thompson. Yep. Yep.
Former co-host with Phil Rizzuto when he was not on the best terms with the New York Mets, of course, being traded. It didn't sit well with him. They made peace. I'm happy that the Mets made peace with him because that's where he belonged.
Hmm.
But it was kind of cool having Tom Seaver doing games with the scooter. I think Tom Seaver, if my
Yeah.
memory serves me right, replaced Bill White.
They're
Bill
white.
White
Yep.
was awesome too.
Yep.
But Beltway Max, I didn't see this coming, Idris. On the most recent show, I said that Max Crosby was going to go over to the
Wow.
49ers. Jesse Minter, I'm going to say this now, the new coach of the Ravens, he has a lot of experience in this league, working
Hmm.
under both Harbaughs, both Jim
Hmm.
and John. Defensive mind, beautiful defensive mind, really good coach. When I think about the Steelers lose some of their identity, of course, by losing long tenured coach Mike Tomlin, you have a Cincinnati team that's not going to be able to love on the defense unless they have a phenomenal draft on that side of the ball.
Poor
And then
Joe
you have a
Burrow.
Browns team whose rookie running back is coming off a severe injury. They're going to be in the mix to possibly draft Jeremiah Love.
Hmm.
Um, Shador is growing, but it's going to be a tedious process with him. I got to think that the Baltimore Ravens, this puts them as an instant favorite to come back and win this division, especially when you have perennial MVP candidate Lamar Jackson, who it's no secret that he and Harbaugh didn't get along the best. Now Jackson has a chance to prove, hey, I could win in this league
Yeah. You know,
at the next level.
and Zappy dropped something in our chat that made a lot of sense about. I feel bad for Joe Burrow, man.
Oh,
You
for
got six
sure.
games. You got 6 games. You got to go against Miles Garrett twice. You got to go against Watt twice, and now you got this guy, Max
Yes,
Crosby.
sir. Yes,
You're like,
sir. And to
golly,
make
dude.
matters worse, you're not going to have your guy, Trey
No,
Hendrickson, that is
no,
comparable to those three studs that you just mentioned.
no. And your offensive line already sucks.
Yes,
Now
they
you got
do.
another. Now you got another beast coming to get you.
Yes,
Joe
indeed.
Burrow.
Max Crosby has to be incredibly happy because he could finally play some
Hmm.
meaningful football. The Las Vegas Raiders, they're just
Yeah.
a shit show. And sorry, Uncle Randy, sorry, Charlie Hoppy. It's the fucking truth. You guys suck.
The
And
East Coast.
I say this, they're
The East
terrible.
Coast.
Yeah, they're terrible. And the thing is, they've been wrong since the whole Gruden fiasco, and then Basaccia took them to the
Yeah.
playoffs, and they get rid of Basaccia too.
And I don't know why
They
they did that.
they treated Derek Carr like he was a piece of crap.
Dude, Tony, I call him Tony Soprano. Tony Sperano, rest in peace. He was doing pretty good. Got rid of him. I'm like, what are you guys doing? One and
Bro,
done.
these guys have done some of the most peculiar things over the years. I mean, if I'm a Raider fan, the one thing that I'm feeling good about is that at least Tom Brady's upstairs and he knows what excellence
Yeah,
requires. And
yeah.
why did I say the word excellence? Because the late Al Davis, West Coast version of Jerry,
Yeah.
he flat out said that was their thing, commitment to excellence. The Raiders,
Just
once upon a time, were the most intimidating team in the league, even when they weren't the
Ted,
best team, because you had
Ted Hendrick,
killers on that defense.
Ted Hendrickson, Lyle Alzado. Golly,
Alzado was a bad boy. I mean,
yeah,
dude, do you know the kind of testicular fortitude that you have to get into the ring with the great Muhammad Ali?
right. Exactly. I love Alzado. Listen,
Yeah. And
dude,
the cool thing is I could speak from experience knowing the man.
right.
He was a guy who often went to our football games.
Good guy, good guy.
The nicest guy around kids, a true teddy bear. And that's why I always tell people don't judge everything the media says about one. I give him a lot of credit because he could have hid behind his mistakes, but
Yeah.
instead he owned them and
Don't know.
gave a huge warning to athletes in the country: do not do this shit. Look what's happening to me.
Yeah. And that's why I loved Alzado. I liked him anyway,
He was a
even though
real one, dude. He was a real
even though
one.
Yeah, even though he was a Raider, but you had him, you had Jack Tatum, the assassin over there. You had Lester Hayes on the other side. Quarterback. You had freaking Daryl LaMonica. You had not Tom.
Yeah,
Jim
Dave
Plunkett,
Casper on that
Dave
squad, I believe.
Casper. These are guys that under Al Davis, Ken Stabler, Cliff
Yeah, man.
Branch. Al Davis, when he said commitment to excellence, he also said just win, baby. He drafted, golly, he was the West Coast Jerry Jones, but I
And
liked him because he kept that team. He kept that team running, even though he was a knucklehead. But he
and
did.
one
But
last
then,
note on Alzado that I want to say.
yeah,
In a losing effort, in a Super Bowl, I believe he was with Denver at the time. One of
yeah,
the best individual stat lines in a losing effort defensively. He played awesome in that game, although they got their ass handed to them. He
yeah,
did win a Super Bowl against the Philadelphia Eagles as a member of the Raiders. He also played with the Browns, and if my memory serves me right, I think he had a cup of coffee with the Redskins as well.
yeah.
But the thing with Alzado, he outside of Jim Brown, he's the
Mm-hmm,
next in line if you're really paying attention
mm-hmm.
to a football star that opened the lane with the commercials and the Hollywood stuff. Lyle was one of the first at
He was
dude. I
funny.
remember I remember during our Pee Wee season,
Yeah,
Justin Alzado, teammate of mine, he wore
yeah.
77. Of course he wore 77.
What he
I
did?
wore 75. And
Okay.
he missed a little bit of time because he
Yeah.
went to Cali to shoot a commercial with his old man.
Hey,
It was
you
actually an RC Cola commercial.
can't miss that opportunity. You got to take that opportunity.
No,
I was
absolutely. And it ain't easy when you have a famous dad, but shouts
You
out
got to.
to Justin, shouts out to the cousins, the Supples, shouts out to them.
You
Good
got to be a
times,
good dad.
man. Lyle
You got to.
Alzado was an awesome dude, and I'm thankful I got to know him a little.
You know what? And before we move on, I wish I entreat everyone watching this show. Go back and look at the commercials from the 70s, about the probably early 90s, maybe late 80s with the athletes, even with OJ.
I was about to say that, Idris. It's Jim Brown, Alzado, and OJ, three of the first ones.
Yeah,
And if we're gonna
all those
cross over and
commercials.
talk baseball, no better pitchman in the world of light beer than Mr. Euchre.
No one better than Bob Uecker. you know, go look at the Miller Lite commercial. Let's fill it. Great taste. Go back and look at all of those commercials. They need to bring those back. I know they don't really have beer commercials anymore. They don't have cigarette commercials no more. But go back and watch those commercials. They are some of the funniest things you will watch because you get to see the athletes basically being themselves.
The
It's
closest thing, the closest thing to like a superstar of entertainment that had a commercial that you're like, is this really happening? You got to take it back to the early '90s. Notorious B.I.G. with St. Ides.
saying that, oh man,
I remember that one.
Biggie killed that. He
He was
killed that.
wearing, I think, like that. He was wearing like that purple velour. I was like, what the hell
Yeah.
is going on? Like a
And
real
see,
king, like just coming in like a real king.
that's why I think with the '90s things was, I think the '90s was the last era because you had the Sprite commercials. And y'all just go back and watch these commercials with the sports with the athletes. They will have you like Jim Buckets, or they will have you in tears.
No, no
Some
doubt, no doubt.
great
It
tears.
was it was a different time. And then Jim Brown hung it up early. He got
Yeah,
into the westerns a little,
yeah, yep.
and
100
that
right.
era when you think about it,
Mm,
African American superstar crossover in a western, that was a big deal
right,
because you
right.
look at somebody like who would we consider like a starlet in the black community during that time? I have an easy one for you. That would be Pam Grier.
Pam, oh, ooh, Lord have
And
mercy.
what did Pam Grier fall victim to during that era in Hollywood? Well, she got a lot of B and C roles, which is bullshit because a woman could act. Just watch Jackie Brown.
Yeah,
But it was also something they call black exploitation,
yeah,
where black actresses had to show a little more to get ahead in the world because it was just the unfair dynamic of the mountainous thing that it was being a
right,
starlet
right.
in that community. It wasn't an even playing field. But I will say this: Pam Grier is a legend.
Pam
And
Grier. She's the standard.
if you haven't watched Jackie Brown, just please watch Jackie Brown.
Pam Grier, I always say she's the standard when it comes to the modern day, the black actresses, the modern day, because
No
God,
doubt.
she put herself out there and she played some roles. I mean, a lot of roles she did play where she's like on the prostitution side. But the one thing about her, yeah, Jackie Brown was great. Um, she she was a lead, but people didn't really
That was
see her
her
as a lead.
finest. That was her finest role, and someone who comes to
Yeah.
mind in the
Hmm.
same aspect of just aesthetic beauty as
Hmm.
someone like a Pam Grier years down the road. I'll put it to you like this: somebody like a Vanessa Williams would never
Oh,
have the
mm-mm.
excellent trajectory of being taken serious, not only in the studio, being a phenomenal singer.
Yeah,
I mean, listen, I'm far removed from my days in the church, but I will
yeah,
say this. If I want to get down on what I grew up on,
yeah.
that Christmas album,
Woo-hoo, baby,
and then she
baby.
did, and then she did, and then she did the duet with Bobby Caldwell.
Wow. Yeah,
And I'll
yeah.
admit it, I don't know what Bobby Caldwell looked like in 1990, whatever. When my uncle Mario told me that that was a white man, I was like, what?
You know the thing about it, when I grew up, I grew up in that era. I'm that old, y'all. But I saw him on. I think he was on the Johnny Carson show in '79. I
But
think.
you talk about a stage presence. My God.
Yeah,
A few years before his unfortunate death, he lived a
yeah.
good life. But a few years before his death,
Hmm.
he was being honored at the BET Awards.
Yeah,
And when you see the way people came together to support him, it tells you
yeah.
everything you need to know on a deeper level about what it's about. Soul does not come with a skin tone.
Nope. When I seen him on that Johnny Carson show, I mean, I was a kid. I was like 14 years. I was like, oh wow, he's white. But I was like, wow,
But
he
I
just
think
killed
the
it. Yeah,
reason why I didn't realize, because he had that one iconic album cover where he was
yeah.
sitting on a bench and it was kind of shadowed out. So I literally did not know that this man was white.
None of us did, dude. That that's why they call it Blue Eyed Soul. Him,
But you see
what's
like the most loving comments when I go on YouTube, because YouTube is a bona fide time machine. And when
yeah,
you go on YouTube and you look up some of his old tracks, and when you have a
yeah,
lot of black people like in the comments saying, man, Bobby was a legend, forever invited to the cookout.
right,
It's love, man. It's like just love. And that's what
yeah,
music is supposed to be, ain't it?
yeah. That's what music's supposed to bring us together, man. It's it's I don't know how to explain it. It's just something that brings us together. It should bring us together because there's no color to sound.
No,
There's no
sir.
color.
Well said. Well said. And speaking of music, guys, Idris is going to find out in the near future ways of promoting his album on his terms more so. But of course, it's on the streaming platforms right now. Check out Old Man Energy, volumes 1 and 2. 2 is Jazzmatical. Did I say that correctly? 2 is the jazz
Jazz
album.
man.
Yes,
Yeah,
Jazzmat.
jazz
Yes,
man.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Number one, it takes the ears on a really good storytelling ride for it's the year 2026, but the boom bap era is still very much alive. Check it out, guys. I'm incredibly impressed, and I said it on the last show. Has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that Idris is my big brother. It has everything to do with the fact that the music is outrageous. I loved
But
it,
it took
and
me 8 years to make too. It took me 8 years.
I absolutely love the album, Idris. The hip hop album, I've been putting that in steady rotation in the truck since it dropped, and my mother
Yeah.
this weekend is gonna take some time to hear it herself.
Well, you and moms get my exclusive stuff, so I got stuff for y'all. Y'all get my
Oh, there
exclusive
she
jazz.
is. She's been listening this whole time.
Okay, she doing the stealth thing. Gotcha. She's stealth.
Well,
What up, Miss E?
Idris, any final thoughts before I get out of here? Because I have decided that I'm gonna actually go to work today.
Oh, you're gonna be productive. Nah.
Hey, hey. See, this is the thing. People don't understand this. Like, he's my guy. So, like, we're like, on the equal level of friendship and all this other shit. But then this is where this other stuff comes out, where he's like,
Hey, hey,
where
look,
he
I'm
hits
late.
me on the uncle level, the father level. And I'm like, man, this is a lot of bullshit if you ask me. But I know somewhere in that epic veil afterlife that my father gets a lot of friggin' laughs off this shit.
You know what? That's the thing. I'll say I can't be your father. I can't be Eddie. But you know what? I can do what I can. So I'm like, yeah, get out there, be productive, man.
running around in Jacksonville telling perfect strangers that he's my stepdad. Everybody's
Yes, sir.
believing it.
Yes, sir.
And then he had like that don't don't try me kind of stepdad energy, like the stepdad in Something About Mary when Ben Stiller caught his pecker in the friggin' zipper. I was like, that's Idris's character right there.
Oh man, now that right there got me right in my ribs, man. That Ben Stiller.
Funny dude,
I
indeed.
like Ben
But until
Stiller, man.
next time, he is Idris. I am Richie. If you haven't already, please make it a point. Like and subscribe to the channel, the Richie X Jr. Sports Podcast on YouTube. Mock draft season is upon us. We're going to be hitting you with a
Oh,
lot of that.
one
We're
more
going to
thing.
get our brackets out for college. Aaron Moorhead, drop a bracket for us, please. I'm curious
Right.
to see what your thoughts are. And I'm going to reach out to Mr. Barn on Floyd as well.
Hey,
Of course,
I got one more thing
FSU
to say.
legend.
One more thing to say. I apologize, y'all. See, I'm getting on Richie about being productive. I hadn't put out any shorts. I got y'all today, y'all. Look how hypocrite I am.
Oh, and speaking of shorts, yeah, I'm gonna try. I'll be responsible for what we got here. Idris will probably push a few out from the most previous show that StreamYard didn't catch.
Yeah,
And look for us every couple of hours. We're gonna let them all breathe. So every few hours we'll be dropping a couple here and there.
yeah, yeah. I just got to be productive.
Man, I can't say what I want to say. So
Uh, it's America. Yes, you can.
no, you will not bait me. You will not bait me. And no, you're not. And no, you're not gonna Hulk Hogan me.
Hey. Anyway, we are the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. As you said, please like and subscribe to the channel, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and wherever you see us. We are here to do what you want. We're here to talk what we want to talk, but we are here to give y'all the sports. We are OUT done.
Peace.